Hey everybody, we're live, and the JPA is, let's see, it's 11:35 a.m. And as you can see, there is no quorum. You have the following people in the room. You have Oakland at-large Councilmember Rebecca Kaplan. We have as well, one moment please, I'm trying to line this up properly. There. We have George Ucasin Jr., and I don't recognize the gentleman in blue. No, I don't recognize the gentleman in blue. And that's it. And this is supposed to be the first day of the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Joint Powers Authority's new fiscal year. Huh. Well, that's news in and of itself. That is news in and of itself. Let's see here. There's a lot of business to be done, too. Let's see here. Sure.
What is the real story of January 6th? Many people have asked that question. Some people have described it.
Excuse me. Didn't mean for that to happen, folks. Sorry. Welcome, by the way. I'm about to put out a tweet. I'm also announcing, hey, only 4 people in meeting for Coliseum JPA as of 8:37 a.m. PST. Meeting was to start at 8:30 a.m. PST. Oakland, there, Rebecca is in to board plus 2. Only 4 people. No ED. Wild. So we just sit and wait. This is bad stuff.
Good morning. Testing. And is our sound feeding into the Zoom?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I believe that is Commissioner Halbert on the line.
Yes, good to see you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. Appreciate all of you and welcome to everyone. Good morning, as we're just making sure we have the sounds and all the tech working here. Much appreciation to the whole team. Thank you, soundboard, back in the room, and the whole staff. And so we do have a couple of members caught in traffic who are still on their way. However, we do have a quorum present. And so we will then be able to go ahead and start the meeting. I did want to note that Henry Gardner is with us on the Zoom. Mr. Gardner, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you, and we can hear you as well. And so let me turn it over for the
I'll have to revise that tweet.
call to order.
Recording in progress.
Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum Authority, Friday, September 15th, 2023. It is 8:40 a.m. If members of the public would like to speak on items when time to address items on the agenda is announced, you will be prompted to raise your hand so that we may see the number of speakers in the queue. We will note the last name in the container before we take comment. The host will call the identifiers of each raised hand one by one to allow comment. Please do not raise your hand before the invitation to speak. The host will lower the hand of those who raise their hands before the invitation. All members of the public at the time of the announcement will have the opportunity to comment on the agenda item. Members of the public will also have the opportunity to comment on items not on this agenda during the open forum of the meeting. During roll call, to limit background noise for those who are virtual, please remain muted until your name is called. Unmute to respond, then be muted immediately after response. Thank you. On roll call for today's meeting, please respond present when your name is called. Commissioner Baker.
Good morning, present.
Morning, thank you. Commissioner Halbert.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Iglesias.
Present.
Commissioner Jenkins is excused.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Thompson is excused. Commissioner Bukowski.
Present.
Vice Chair Miley is
Here.
here.
We timed that precisely to welcome Commissioner and Vice Chair Miley.
And
Good morning, sir.
Chair Kaplan.
Here.
The next item on the agenda is open forum.
Thank you so much. Good morning, sir. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. This is now open forum. This is the opportunity for members of the public who wish to make general comments or comments not on agenda items. And so at this time, if you wish to make general comments or comments on items not on the agenda, if you are on Zoom, you may click raise hand. If you are in the room, you may come to the podium mic. Seeing none in the room, are there any on the Zoom?
Yes. Denny Abraham will have his hand raised.
All right, we may proceed with the public speakers.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to what should be an exciting fiscal year. I am quite concerned, however, that since 2017, in our last discussion regarding the future site of the Coliseum, we're having one yet again. But what we should really be having is, first of all, an update regarding the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. And also, at some point, which was something we've never done, what we learned regarding how we work with sports organizations that has caused us to lose them. Regarding AASEG, this is the first time in the history of the Coliseum we've had 2 exclusive negotiating agreements active, which will be the case when the Oakland Roots ENA is activated. And the concern that I have is that, and I'll be very blunt, we have a Black development organization that has been said and used politically, and yet they're quite literally being, it would seem, set up to fail. Let me give you an example very quickly. The model for one of them, great project development, public and private, is the Chicago Harold Washington Library competition. They set aside $140 million, had a competition, Thomas Beebe won, and we saw the result. Elizabeth Hollander, the director of planning, was the lead, not an elected official. The elected official stayed in the background and enjoyed the fruits of Ms. Hollander and staff's labor. That's how government works. We are far too over-politicized. We have to ask ourselves, if we like what we're getting, are we going to keep on doing what we're doing? The answer should be no. We have a lot of basic problems we need to solve. We have a 140 item punch list that has not been addressed since 1999. Do you understand? 1999. And the shape of the Coliseum shows it. If we address just that punch list, this entire facility would look much better than it does today. We have to pay attention to the little things. And then we put up big things like Coliseum City as if it's the Manhattan Project, except we never reach it. We have to get to the point of running the facility in a way that is competitive with even the newest facilities coming online. We have to be competitive. We have to want number one, Oakland to be number one, and not always figure out how to get out of something like running this facility for the future rather than focusing on it. And give AASEG its due and its assistance. Don't set them up to fail. Make Oakland Roots subordinate to AASEG so we don't run into lawsuit trouble. That's the right way to handle this. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public speakers on Zoom?
Chair, there are no additional public speakers.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. And thank you to the speaker. And just for the information of the public and the speaker, in terms of the questions about the interrelationship between Roots and Soul and AASEG, I would just share that Roots and Soul and AASEG have entered into a cooperation agreement with one another in regard to that issue. And so they are in fact working together collaboratively, which I think is a very hopeful sign. Thank you so much. And we may go to the next item.
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Thank you, colleagues. We have the approval of the minutes. Are there any questions or a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
I will go ahead and second that. And are there any speakers on the minutes? Seeing none, we may call the roll.
Thank you. For approval of minutes, moved by Commissioner Buchanan, seconded by Chair Kaplan. Commissioner Baker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Hallberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Iglesias?
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Jenkins is, Commissioner Thompson is excused. Commissioner Buchanan?
Abstain, I was absent.
Chair Miley?
Aye.
And Chair Kaplan.
Aye.
That's only 4 ayes.
I believe that that is a motion and not a resolution and thus passes by majority vote. I don't think our attorney is in the room. Is the attorney on the Zoom?
I believe Attorney Jefferson is in Zoom.
I'm here.
Can you clarify whether a motion to approve the minutes requires a simple majority of those voting or requires 5 votes?
I believe you're okay now with the simple majority.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it passes.
Yes, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is item 5, reports, 5A, Executive Director report.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very much.
Mr. Gardner, you are up.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and members of the Commission. I only have one item under the Executive Director's report. It's an informational item. It's a good news item, and there's no action required by the Commission. However, I wanted to share it with you for 2 reasons. One is it calls for an internal adjustment in the AEG's budget, which rolls into our budget. These are internal adjustments on a line item basis. They have absolutely no impact whatsoever on our budget. And so our budget need not be amended in any fashion for what I'm going to report to you. The very good news is that we have had a banner year for 22-23. This is the largest surplus, and we'll be talking about that at our next meeting, I think ever. And that is due to the absolutely superior work of the AEG staff. They have taken the charge seriously. that our efforts are to reduce as much as we possibly can the reliance on the city and the county to support the operations. What is that I am reporting to you is that because of the enormous increase in activity, the overhead expenses were impacted by that by over $2 million. That was influenced largely by major increases in utilities. We talked about that with the subcommittee and reported back to you before about what's happening with our PG&E bills and insurance, general liability, workers' comp, etc. That then required us to make these internal adjustments. However, on the revenue side, they were more than offset. And so for the total cost, this $2 million, it's offset by corresponding increases in revenues, which results in a net amount. I wanted to bring that to you because if it ever surfaces again, that there was this $2 million amount that exceeded the budget, I wanted you to understand the mechanics of how that works. It has no impact whatsoever on our budget. And the result of all of this, we will be reporting to you with definitive numbers in the October meeting. Our treasurer, the county treasurer and controller have, and with her assistant, Craig Boyard, assistant controller, have recommended that we hold off on definitive numbers until the audit is complete. And we expect that to happen next month. I do not expect any material changes in the amounts that we had previously reported to you, but we will give you a definitive answer to that in October. And that definitive answer would be how much the city and the county can reduce its subsidy for our operations. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Gardner, for your dedicated leadership of this body. And I really want to thank everyone involved and all the staff, both the ones who are in the room and the ones who are not in the room, because there has been an incredible amount of work done that we have all been advocating for, and that has been happening with the community, with potential shows and events to increase the revenue as well as the activity here. And that means more money is coming in. That also means we're creating more jobs in the community. And that means there's more revenue that can go back to the city and the county to support the essential work of the public. So this is very good news. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. We appreciate you and your whole team and everything that has gone into this. And we look forward to the October report, which will have more dollar numbers in it, and excited about that as well. To my colleagues, are there any questions on this report? And are there any public speakers?
Yes, in the container, we have Denny Abraham with his hand raised.
Thank you. Yes.
You're allowed to speak.
Thank you very much. First of all, congratulations, Henry. That's a fantastic report, and you continue to build on your legacy of serving Oakland as well as you have. Second, there was discussion regarding some type of report projecting the impact of the Coliseum without the athletics, and it would be cool to find out, if that's going to come about, or and if so, when. And then also there's a nagging question I alluded to in my first comment, and it has to do with really where the facility is regarding needed infrastructure repairs and upgrades. And so, and what that cost will be over the next year or a year beyond that. And thank you.
I can respond quickly.
Yes, sir.
One, I guess the second question first. We will be looking at what is required on an ongoing basis for general repairs and maintenance. We have nothing on the horizon right now with respect to major capital improvements. And the reason for that is twofold. One is we do not know exactly when the Joint Powers Authority will no longer be responsible for the facility. And that happens when either the city or the county or both are no longer co-owners of the facility. And so that is going to be approached, I'm sure, on a year-by-year basis, once it's clearer to us how long the facility, particularly the stadium, would still need to be in operation. In terms of long-term capital improvements, that's also tied actually to the first one. I think that the city and the county are likely to be cautious about over-improving a facility that might be demolished. And so all of that would be in the mix. And then lastly, I would just remind everybody that right now, the county is on schedule to exit this business. If all things happen in accordance with that disposition agreement, as of February 26th or shortly thereafter, assuming that all of the conditions are met under the disposition agreement with the county and there are no outstanding legal challenges, the county is out of this business. So all of that needs to be part of the consideration and will very much be part of the consideration all during next year, because it is immediately after that that we're in February 2026. I hope that's been responsive to your question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And seeing no other questions on this item, we can go to the general manager report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll be discussing the event activity. So the added events, Los Temerarios, September 29th, Travis Scott, October 31st and November 1st, Miss Lauryn Hill and the Fugees, November 7th, Aniversario de la Raza has been canceled. That was on October 14th. And I'd also like to bring up 3 other community events that will be taking place next month in October. We have a Halloween community event coming up. We have a mobile job fair in the parking lot coming up, and a hazardous waste collection event coming up in October. I'll be providing more details to the board as the official announce happens for all 3 of the events. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work bringing in more events. It's great to see the success of that endeavor. Are there any questions or comments from board members?
When's the mobile job start?
I'll be emailing you guys all the specific dates. They're deciding between 2 dates, so I'll email you once it's settled.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. And so you'll email all the board members, and then there will also be a public and press release and such for those events as well?
Yep, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Are there any members of the public?
Yes, there's one hand raised in the containers in the apron.
Okay. Let's call this.
Yeah, thank you. It would be fantastic. I don't know who's doing your press releases. It used to be Mr. Cohen. To get a press release on this, as it is, I'll just piece together everything for a blog report. But there's a lot of great information here that gives a better picture of what's happening at the Coliseum. So is anyone working on that? Or are they able to, put that together or writing a press release? Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And perhaps separately, you could just make sure that you have Zenny's email address so that when the press release goes out, to make sure that he receives it as well. I'm not sure if he's not on the press list. Since he mentioned wanting to write about this for his blog.
Sure, no problem. If someone will provide his contact information, you can definitely pass that along.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. Any other questions or comments? All right, that item then is complete. Thank you so much for the great work, and let's keep bringing great events here. And so we may go to the next item.
Next item on the agenda is new business. Resolution approving and authorizing the execution of a settlement and release agreement with RINGCENTRAL, Inc.
Thank you. We may have the presentation. Mr. Gardner, are you presenting this item?
I was asking the attorney, Jamila Jefferson, if she wanted to. I can do it and then she can correct every misstatement. We have reported to you previously that RINGCENTRAL had announced that it planned to terminate its agreement for the naming rights for the stadium. The agreement under its terms would go until December 31st of 2023. This would be an early termination. They notified us at a meeting that they planned to terminate the agreement. We had a lot of conversation internally and with RINGCENTRAL and their respective council. And part of their proposal was that they would not make any payments in the previous, for the first quarter of this current calendar year.
Mr. Gardner? Your sound is cut out?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I think, and correct me, those who have the numbers like Craig and Melissa, I think it's $275,000. I don't have the resolution in front of me. They were asking or saying that they didn't know it. We said, no, you do it. And so we had the back and forth. We have reached an agreement with them. This was the key item. The other ones are pretty minor, not worth really mentioning. This is the money issue. So the settlement is that they will pay the $275,000, which represents the payment that they would normally make for the period January 1st to March 31st. And we agreed to waive the rest, not waive it, but we settled it with them not making the payments for the remainder part of the term. We think it's a fair and reasonable settlement. We were surprised, given all the work we've been doing with them regarding putting up the signage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But for a variety of reasons, some expressed and some not expressed by RINGCENTRAL, they decided for business reasons they needed not just with our agreement, but with other vendor agreements around the country. So that's where we are. We recommend that you approve this agreement. Ms. Jefferson, is there anything I should add to this that's material?
I do not think so. Other than one note is just that they were going to remove the signage. And I believe Nicole may be able to confirm that, Ms. Strange.
If you could confirm that on the record, thank you.
Yes, that's confirmed.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we've had our report. This is an action item, and so this will require a vote. Thank you, Mr. Gardner, and to our legal team for negotiating this resolution. Let me first see if there are any questions or comments from my colleagues, either physically here or the colleagues on Zoom. If you have any questions or comments. Seeing none, we will go to public speakers. Are there any public speakers?
No.
Seeing none, I will move to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who was the second. Who? Okay, thank you.
We may call the roll.
Okay. For item number 6, resolution approving and authorizing the execution of a settlement and release agreement with RINGCENTRAL Inc. Commissioner Baker, how do you vote? Commissioner Baker? Come back.
He may be on mute.
Sorry.
Tell me that's on.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Commissioner Halbert?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Iglesias?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins is excused, as is Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Vukasin?
Aye.
Vice Chair Miley?
Yes.
And Chair Kaplan?
Aye.
Thank you. 6 ayes, 2 absent. Next item on the agenda is discussion, potential for future public uses and functions for the Coliseum site.
Thank you so very much. And I want to thank my colleague from the county, Mr. Vice Chair Miley, who encouraged us to schedule this item because this body here at the Coliseum Authority Board is actually one of the unusual and rare occasions where the city leadership and the county leadership and the community leadership all sit together. And as this facility is important to the public and to the city and to the county, the suggestion was this would be a good place to have some initial discussions. And I did want to share that the city of Oakland has actually already taken some steps in this regard, and in the council resolution which passed regarding the future of this site did specifically include the intention to include a variety of public functions, including there's been a great conversation about having a City Hall East facility where members of the public could come for permits and other things like that in a more convenient location. And of course, we are on BART and on the freeway and on the Capitol Corridor and very accessible. And I understand that some of our county leadership similarly is very interested. So let me give Mr. Miley the floor to share your thoughts and ideas as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Chair Kaplan. First of all, yeah, I wanted to just state that this Coliseum area being a part of a broader area that used to be redevelopment area, it's never basically lived up to expectations. This actually could be another significant downtown area for the city of Oakland. And I think the efforts that are being pursued by the city and the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, I think can bring this to fruition. Obviously, it would take a while to see all of the results that could occur, but that path and that journey has and can continue to gather momentum. So I'm firmly committed to the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. The county, I can't speak for the county as a government, but I do know at the moment we're still on course to finalize the sale of our interest to the Oakland A's, or they're on the group that is purchasing it on behalf of the A's, barring any legal impediments or challenges. My sincere hope and desire is that the African American Sports and Entertainment Group and the Oakland A's, or the group that's purchasing the county's interest, can come to some type of negotiated agreement that would allow for the African American Sports and Entertainment Group to take the lead in development opportunities here that would adhere to the city's specific plan that would call for retail, entertainment, office, public sector uses, sports. I mean, we all know the value of this location in its proximity to transit, Amtrak, BART, the airport, freeways. I mean, this is just phenomenal. So I think under the leadership of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, I think we could really achieve some monumental and transformative developments here that we've never experienced. Furthermore, I chair the county's reparations committee, and we've put together a citizens advisory commission on reparations. That commission will be putting together an action plan. Yeah, I see linkages between reparations and the African American Sports and Entertainment Group and the possible goals that could be achieved out here under their leadership, and how that would benefit African Americans and African Americans who are descendants of slavery. Finally, I know the chair and I have met with representatives of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, our general manager, Rick Gardner, Zinni Abrams, and others, to talk about pursuing an enhanced infrastructure financing district for this area. And I really think that could be another key ingredient that would help to propel further development here. And let's say, put it in a context so the African American Sports and Entertainment Group could take the lead on that and have the necessary financing to ensure those developments occur. So that's another piece of the ingredient. So, so those are some of my thoughts, and, I stand ready, willing, and able as a member of the Board of Supervisors, as a resident of Oakland, as someone who cares a lot about what happens out here, both as an elected official of the county and former elected official of the city, to try to do whatever I can do to help move this into a new stage of growth and opportunity that would be transformative. That's what I think can occur. I know many people are bemoaning the fact that we've lost 2 sports teams, and I share that. We lost the Raiders and we lost the Warriors, and we're probably going to lose the A's. That's not totally resolved yet, but that's the likelihood. So we could end up losing all 3 sports teams. But I don't see the glass half empty. I see it half full. I think there are significant opportunities for this property and for the surrounding area. And I stand on that firmly.
Thank you very much. No, I think that that's incredibly important. And this facility is huge and incredibly well located and transit accessible and roadway accessible, and is in the heart of a community that absolutely deserves that level of support and investment. And I really appreciate also you mentioning an EIFD, an Enhanced Infrastructure Finance District, which is something that the city and county could do together on this site. And so one thing we could look to do is to have an informational briefing come to us at a subsequent meeting with more details about options for an EIFD and how those could work, which would of course require then separate votes to go back to the county and to the city. But at least we could hear more about that. And some things to think about, of course, with an EIFD would be, how big should the boundaries be? Should it be just the Coliseum site proper or the surroundings? There is the Coliseum area specific plan, which goes beyond the borders of this property. But there's also some value of being more focused. So we could look at questions of different boundaries and amounts of money. And then I don't know if it's proper time to share more about that, but I understand there's some interest in having some county facilities potentially beyond the location.
I'm not at liberty to speak to that just yet.
Cool. Okay, so that'll be a future follow-up item. Absolutely. And so I think these opportunities warrant that further discussion. And particularly, I think the notion of how this can create both jobs and revenue and positivity and community revitalization, I think is incredibly important. So thank you for that. And so I think it would be worth having further discussions specifically regarding the EIFD option as well. And so would you like to see that on a future agenda?
Yes, if the chair's directing that to me, I would definitely like to see us schedule an agenda item, informational item relative to the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District more on this area. Definitely.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for bringing this to us. And so now I will open it first to the other members of the board. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions.
Yes, so I defer obviously to the city and county for the best use of this property. Having said that, I had brought a piece of history here. This is the sales brochure for the proposed Oakland-Alameda County Coliseum.
Wow.
I discovered it, and I only bring this up. I want to share with the commission as well as Henry. I bring this up now because I'm sure there were a lot of naysayers in the 50s when the city, county, and a group of civic leaders got together to build this. There were no tenants signed up. I think within the first 2 years, there were 6 professional sports teams playing in the Coliseum complex. And so this is a great opportunity. It's been done before. It could be done again to completely transform this property and benefit Oakland, the county, I think all of these guys. So I encourage us. I'm very optimistic. Oh, sure.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing us
Sure.
that piece of history.
Okay.
Yes, that is wonderful. Thank you. Do you want to add anything?
Sure, thank you. I really appreciate this discussion. I think I'm excited to learn kind of more about some of the development plans. I haven't really seen too much about that with the African American Entertainment Group. But I think there's a lot of exciting things that are happening out here in East Oakland that maybe they can combine forces. When you look at the population, it's a very young population. I think this is where the majority of families live out here in East Oakland. So the proximity to that is, I think, important. I think when you look at the big investments that are slated for East Oakland, especially with Blue Meridian, $50 million investment, and then the local match from local philanthropy, you're looking at $100 million to be spent over the next few years, really focusing on African American children and families right here, right? And so how do we leverage something like that? That's I think coming through the Oakland Thrives, which many of you are on that board, and leverage it with what's happening around or with the development plans, here at the Coliseum. I think that could be really powerful, and I think really move the needle for a lot of folks. So just kind of thinking out loud as hearing all this, but I did want to kind of throw it into the mix, something that we might want to consider, especially and the way that with the recent bond measures and that the city is doing to create more housing, affordable housing. I think that's all kind of part of this plan. So I appreciate all your efforts there, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Iglesias. And of course, this is also a transit hub and thus a potential transit village. And I think we can all take inspiration from the success of the Fruitvale Transit Village and the transformation that set of projects has created over time. That too can be part of the inspiration for what's possible to be done here. So thank you for that. Commissioner Halbert.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I echo all the comments made. I'll just add to that. I'm excited that the ownership groups, in addition to all the things said, they have ties to Oakland. They grew up here. They know the community, and they want to invest their own blood, sweat, and tears into its future. So that's what excites me about the current AASEG ownership. So I look forward to the revitalization that we've talked about, and supportive of the EFID. And I'll just go one step further. I also can't speak for the entire board, but I would love to see the county help make an anchor tenancy or some way to help make this happen with a kickstart of some kind. As was mentioned, we'll likely be out of the ownership of this, but still can jump back in with tenancy of some kind, or buy back in for the needs that we have. It is too preliminary to commit to anything, but I'm supportive of having those discussions. So with that said, Godspeed to all of us to make this happen. And George, I would love to see a copy of what you have. I'm sorry I'm not in the room with you, but please share when we can get together next. That sounds really cool. Would love to see what you have. But otherwise, again, just fully in support of the path forward that we've laid out here in the past few minutes.
Well, thank you so much for that, Supervisor. And you know, there has been, as has been pointed out, extensive public investments in this area, including the BART station and many other investments that have happened in the Hagenberger corridor and beyond. And so being able to harness that in a way that then creates that spin-off benefit, I think is incredibly important. And thank you also for your comments about potential future county facilities and presence here. I think if we had both city facilities and county facilities, we could have some great economies of scale and mutual benefit where people could come here to get a variety of tasks done, as well as having entertainment and dining and convention and other types of facilities, since the site is large enough to accommodate that all. And we will make sure that we get shots of this so that everyone can see. Thank you for sharing this lovely piece of the history. It is much appreciated. Are there any other board member comments? Mr. Miley.
Yeah, with what George Kasim provided us here, this really needs to be preserved, but it actually says, planned as the nation's most complete entertainment center located at Natural Center East Bay.
Thank you.
Pretty powerful.
That is well worth saying, and we're taking pictures of it here so we can all have it. Maybe we'll get it scanned. But yes, this location is at the heart of the East Bay. It's at the heart of the Northern California mega region, in fact. Readily accessible to the most on-time airports, as well as the BART, the freeway, the Capital Corridor, and more. And so I think it is really important that we, both together and each of us in our separate capacities, continue the work to ensure its vibrant future. And this is just a great piece of history. Thank you for bringing it. Pass that along. Are there any other comments on the Zoom?
In the container, I see 3 hands raised for public commenters. The first person with their hand raised is Denny Eggman. You are unmuted.
Thank
and
you.
Have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you. This should be done as an effort that has a project manager. If you're talking about transitioning the Coliseum in some way, for example, legislation allows for enhanced infrastructure financing district to be done by the JPA. But then Nate says, well, the county's getting out of the business. There's too much piecemeal discussion. It's not coordinated, and it's going to lead to further problems in the very near future. Again, AASEG should be at the focus of this as opposed to common discussion, because you're talking about really building Coliseum City, which I might add the county would benefit from. But also there's too much focus as if Oakland is the only city on earth. The world is changing around you, and sports and economic development, entertainment is burgeoning rapidly. Sports alone, just sports commission's perspective, has grown from 11 billion 4 years ago to 18.5 billion today. So I'm really encouraging you to change the way you do things. Nate, you said that redevelopment really didn't work well and the Coliseum didn't work well per se in terms of development. Nate, we didn't do it right. And we have to have a point. We have a place. We criticize what we've done and change and adjust, because there's a whole world out there. We should be about the business of going after other sports teams, just like San Francisco came after the Warriors to us. Ed Lee bragged about it. Rest in peace, a great man. And then we had it done by Las Vegas. And of course, we almost had it done by Portland, who dearly wanted to take the athletics from us. But when have we talked about taking sports teams from anybody? Being hunters rather than the hunted. We got to get aggressive here and stop acting like, oh, woe is us, nothing's worked, and we got to let things go. No, we've got to fight, okay? Believe in this facility, celebrate its history, and then promise a positive future, and then make that happen. As they say today, what is it? Speak it into existence. But this kind of talk is ridiculous.
Mr. Abraham, your 2 minutes is up.
Thank you.
We move on to the next speaker.
Yes, thank you.
The next speaker in the queue is Ray Bobbitt. you're allowed to speak.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes.
good morning.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I really want to see that brochure. My grandparents attended community meetings with respect at their first home, which is at 78th and Rudsdale, about the Coliseum development. And so they were involved in the early stages of community input. So I'd really like to see that it's a very historic scenario. Secondly, we are very grateful about this item being presented. We're thankful to Chair Kaplan, to Vice Chair Miley. This is a great opportunity for our community to be revitalized and rebuilt. I agree with Zenny and others. This is an opportunity for us. It really is it's opportunity for a new beginning. I think we're all very excited about it. I attended 30X Neighborhood Council community meeting as a guest to present the future, the vision of the future of the Coliseum. And trust me when I tell you, we're right in the trenches with the people from the community, and they are very, very excited about this process. They're very excited about the prospect of revitalization without gentrification and displacement. And they're super excited about the prospect of a new beginning of sports culture as well as economic development. So just wanted to thank you for putting this on the agenda and allowing for our site vision to be expanded into public use, because that gives us a lot of flexibility. Thank you so much. And Nate, you know my grandmother, you served in District 6 when for her, and thank you for taking care of her. Councilmember Jenkins is there now, but just wanted to thank you as well, Chair Kaplan, for leading this process.
Next person in the container is listed as Alan. We have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, this is Alan Jones. I also would like to share in my brother Ray Bobbitt and brother Zenny Abraham's comments, and also, just express gratitude to Chair Kaplan and Nate Miley. In economic times like this, it's that sparking that could occur with public uses on a site like the Coliseum that not only would create an economic rationale for cost effectively providing those services and those facilities, taking advantage of economies of scale and financing mechanisms. But that is also what in times like this helps to spark the economic recovery of a region. The co-location that will happen around these public facilities is nothing less than profound. As part of the AASEG team and as an Oakland business person and resident that has been immersed in studying the possibilities of the Coliseum site for literally years and years, I'm nothing less than just really intrigued and astonished by the possible uses that we can bring to bear there that will not only provide these facilities, but provide a platform for the deployment of the technologies of the future, building these buildings in the most economically sustainable, environmentally sustainable ways, deploying the future technologies that will create the careers and the business opportunities for generations to come, and doing it in the most equitable and inclusive manner that will also allow for us to address the profound disparities that take place in very, very impactful ways. So again, we're very, very grateful for this talk today and this concept. And I myself personally, and on behalf of AASEG, we're very.
Mr. Jones, your 2 minutes is up. Chair, we have one additional hand raised.
I'm sorry, so all speakers have been
All speakers have been recognized.
all speakers have been recognized? Okay, so one thing I heard is that we would like a future discussion about EIFCs, recognizing that that would be informational here for now, and we can also explore this question of how, the best ways for the city and county to jointly undertake this, including to what extent that goes through this entity versus other structures. But regardless of what body does the actual voting, we could have the information presented here so that we could all share in having that same information about options and potential dollar amounts and things like that with regard to the EIFC. So I'll work to follow up to have that come to us. And then also for anybody who's interested in more background, when we say this site has already been approved for substantial development, that can include governmental entities, that could include housing, that could include sports and entertainment. The city of Oakland adopted what is called the Coliseum Area Specific Plan, which adopted those allowances. And so that type of development, including the whole multiplicity of uses, is essentially pre-approved through the city of Oakland. And if anybody needs it, you can find that on the City of Oakland's website under Coliseum Area Specific Plan, or let me know if you need a copy. So that is a large official public document that has been adopted by the Oakland City Council. And so that sets this site up to be developable, where the development wouldn't have to start from scratch getting those approvals, as they've already been given. Mr. Vice Chair Miley.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Kaplan. Yeah, I just wanted to comment. Denny Abrams brought up the fact that maybe we need to have a project manager. I kind of agree with that. And it's not that I don't feel this area has potential. I really do feel it has potential. And I do feel there were missed opportunities when this was part of a redevelopment area. But it's water under the bridge at this point. And obviously, there's lessons learned as a result of that. I think, what's that old saying, a journey starts with the first steps, something to that effect. I think bringing an informational report on an enhanced infrastructure financing district would be helpful. That could set the stage for the next steps that could potentially lead JPA to consider bringing on a consultant or bringing on a project manager or something to that effect to further move this agenda along. Because there are a lot of moving parts here. The city, the county, the JPA. We've got the A's. There are a lot of moving parts. I think having a project manager definitely help us with that. And so this isn't something that can't be achieved. And as we've said, I don't want to leave them out. We have the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. So there are a number of moving parts that just need to be consolidated and get us all moving in the direction that's going to make this transformational. It's going to benefit the public and benefit the taxpayers. Furthermore, I would say, in terms of bringing on a consultant or a project manager, we've continued to hear reports on how we're, financially, fiscally, we're very sound. I'm not opposed to putting some of those resources back into looking at the future of this site under the direction of the project manager or consultant group that's working with us.
Excellent, thank you. No, I think that's a great idea. And I appreciate your comments as well as the members of the public who we've been joined by, who've been deeply involved in this and sharing their deep wisdom as well. So thank you all so much. And we will definitely follow up regarding those future agenda items. I do understand that some of the members will need to be leaving soon. So let me see if there's any additional comments or questions from any members of the board, including any of the board members online. Have anything else you wish to add at this time? Okay. Seeing none, let me take it back to Mr. Gardner and ask if you have any comments at this point as we're about to close out our public session?
I have no additional items or comments. I will work towards bringing you an informational report on the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District at the October meeting.
Thank you so very much. That is much appreciated. And I know we have some of our city team who's already been working on that present as well. So thank you, and we'll look forward to that discussion. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. And as we close out our public session, let me again thank the amazing staff here and the team who have been doing great work bringing in events and bookings and rentals of this facility, which is enabling us to bring money back to fund vital public needs for our city and our county. So thank you all so very much. And so I believe we then have the opportunity to adjourn from this session.
The next item on the agenda is closed session, conference with real property negotiators, property 7,000 Coliseum Way, Oakland.
Thank you so much. And that concludes our public meeting. Thank you all very much. And we will let
folks,
them
that
close this up.
concludes
And
a
then let me
rousing
check,
meeting.
we may be losing quorum.
I'm gonna wait until they shut that down, and then I'll expand out.
Oh, can Henry, I guess Henry can't hear us if we turn this off. Are we off? We're clear? Oh, well, the Zoom is still on the screen.
Are we transferring to a new Zoom link or we staying?
Uh-oh. Okay, let me shut that one down, folks. Because I don't want to get into that copyright claim stuff. I have to take that out as it is, whatever. Okay, let me get your comments here before we close out. AASEG and Oakland Roots Cooperation Agreement is not really binding. It's nothing more than a promise ring. Yeah, Dean, thanks for pointing that out, because there needs to be a hard set of guardrails that puts AASEG at the top. So that's the problem with all of this, is a lot of talking and there's no planning. So people put out what are basically policy initiatives, and sometimes they get implemented, but not in a way that's coordinated. So you'll have AASEG off doing its thing. Then all of a sudden you have this discussion on the future of the Coliseum, which it seemed to imply demolishment, right? But then you got the ENA for the AASEG. Why not present their plan? I mean, that right there shows how things get messed up all the time, because it's just too political. Everybody has to have their, say, which is fine. You can have your say. But what happens is that the say becomes something that an elected official does. It becomes an initiative, but it's an uncoordinated one. In other words, the other aspects of that initiative needed to make it work properly are not there. So you have AASEG out doing its thing. Okay, so then turns around, they don't have any money up front. Why? Well, because you didn't have an enhanced infrastructure financing district to allow them to generate money to do their development. My point is, if you're going to have a developer do something, give them the money to do it. We didn't do that with the A's. We promised them a TIF zone, and then we did everything in our power not to do it. We cannot operate that way. So and then as far as Oakland Roots, the Oakland Roots ought to be in the Coliseum, not on Malibu lot. Why? Because that's the downhill part of a land that flows downhill to the bay. And so what does it mean? It means that you're going to have even greater levels of water runoff and even higher tides as predicted because of our sea level rise problem. Note that no one raised, including myself, and I meant to, but no one raised, and I will in another meeting, the sea level rise issue. It's gigantic. And the closer we get to 2030, that target of 72 inches of water during high rains and high tides, we're going to wind up seeing that, because we haven't done nothing to make that a more difficult thing to occur? Nothing. All right. It's ridiculous. So Chai says, forget baseball expansion, build a new NFL ready stadium for future. We have enough for both. And that's what I'm saying. We need to get back to the idea that we can have it all. We need, if we're gonna have a big facility, we have to have big thoughts, big plans, and big budgets. We have to stop this, passive aggressive behavior. It's killing us. It's gotten to this point, and it's got to stop. So Chai says, something tells me the Coliseum C's will be turned into more condos, which is the worst part. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's Coliseum City, not necessarily condos. Also, extremely affordable housing. Coliseum City was always a concept that made it sports, entertainment, and residential and tourism. Okay. So, and that's okay. That's what you want. So and I don't think anyone's taken a look at that. Oh, before I go here, I want to share with all of you something important to keep in mind. I believe it is here. Financing district, EIF. Remember you heard about the EIFD talk, right? Coliseum. Here. I believe that is, yeah. Okay. I had right here a year ago
hey everybody.
discussed the provision for EIFD law at the Coliseum meeting. This was a year ago, right here. I'm showing you this before I close out, so you can see this right here. And I raised the issue at this meeting. Okay. All right. Oakland Coliseum JPA meeting on masks, and then EIFD law provision. I brought that up, and then I wrote about it later. Even 4 months ago, I said this is what was needed, and so I'm the person, and Nate will tell you, who started this idea of using enhanced infrastructure financing district legislation for the Coliseum JPA. Why? Because joint powers authorities can establish their own EIFD. So that's why I said, hey, why do you want to disband the JPA if you're talking about doing an EIFD and you need to do a public financing authority? I would love to be the project manager. I'll just say that, because they're not going to find anybody better. All right. I'll just put that right out there. I'm the person who started the idea. I know how this is supposed to work. I know all the elements involved in modeling. Okay. So there we go. Hey, John Akala. I haven't seen John in a while. Justice, what are chances you think the A's stay in Oakland till stadium is ready? John, you keep asking that question. I give him the same answer. I got to ask you, why do you keep asking me that question? Because you asked it before. I'm waiting. Because the answer that I gave then is the same I'm going to give you today. The A's are gone. I said it at the JPA meeting. I've said it before. The A's are gone. Okay. There is nothing that's going to stop the Athletics from moving. The bond issue is in motion. Oh, John says he doesn't remember. Okay. Yeah, well, I do. Okay. I keep track. There's nothing that's going to stop the Athletics from moving. And why? Las Vegas does want the A's. Las Vegas has taken actions that we haven't taken. So we're supposed to punish the athletics for not wanting to go to a better place. You know, J Boogie says, Joe Lopez, I think it'll be 60-40 as to the A sharing Las Vegas ballpark with the Aviators. We'll see what happens there. But my point is, they're leaving. That's why we need to be the hunter. And we've been the hunted. You, unless you just came in here, you saw the meeting. It was very much, well, oh, we can't, we need to be aggressive. I mean, as people have said, speak it, whatever it is, into existence, right? We need to be aggressive about our future. Big time. I'm going to come back later and talk more about this on another live stream. But I want to thank everybody for coming on. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com. That ends this broadcast. We'll see you later. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, I have to say, Rebecca Kaplan did a fantastic job of leading the meeting. She showed up early, on time. Well, more than on time. She was early. I know because I was early. And she's done a great job of moving the Coliseum forward, and showing the leadership we need regarding the Coliseum. So I know Rebecca gets, criticized about being on Twitter too much, like by me. But I love Rebecca. I think she's a wonderful person, a great friend, and she's done a fantastic job. Henry's done a great job. They're all family, So I hope we can get to the point where, no, we will get to the point where we rise again. I promise you, the Coliseum will rise again. It will. Dean Will says, MLB will not come back. NFL will not come back if MLB is there to the Coliseum. Baseball needs to be downtown. I disagree with you. No, you can do both separate. There's enough room to do baseball and football down there. Okay. I'm not saying baseball downtown wasn't a bad idea, but look, what Howard Terminal made evident is something that was really a fear would happen at some point in Oakland's history. What happened to San Francisco is that tourism took over the port waterfront and really diminished the port of San Francisco's importance and function. There are a lot of people who don't want that to happen to Oakland, and that's why you had that battle down there with Howard Terminal. I get that. We don't need to revisit that. We have the Coliseum. We have it. We did the Howard Terminal thing. Really, we shouldn't have. Okay. I understand why the A's wanted it. I was supportive of it because I thought it was cool to have a stadium that was answering San Francisco. But look, that's over. We need a stadium and facilities that really do respond to the needs of Oakland, not just the athletics. The athletics are going to Las Vegas. We have a lot of land. We can really do sports right, just like we did in '66. We did it right then. And we did it. Look, give ourselves credit. We did it right for most of the lives of the Coliseum. All right. We only started doing it wrong after Strong Mayor was installed and we weren't meeting the needs of sports organizations. So we need a path forward. We can do that through the proper project management, bringing everybody together, answering to the needs of all of these players with the AASEG at the top, because they have the ENA and because it is really imperative to get diverse equity development done down there. It can be done. I don't want to have anybody telling me it can't be done. I know it can be done. It can be done. Mark Thompson says, the Athletics are keeping their name and brand and colors and everything when they relocate. Yep. They are currently advertising on the strip with the original name and everything. Yeah. I never said they were going to get rid of their name or that we should go after them. That is a losing proposition. Just like it was a losing proposition to consider the idea with the Raiders. We simply should have done and partnered with St. Louis for breach of contract. Why? Because the NFL gave us a contract, a relocation contract, guidelines, bylaws. All we had to do, and we talked about this, is what St. Louis did. We could have followed St. Louis and we could have dragged San Diego with us, kicking and screaming. All right. They've been advertised. Yep, that's right. No reason for the A's to rebrand. The Athletics have been, no, there isn't. That's not at all. Not at all. No, no. All of you who are truly fans of sports in Oakland should be part of the Hunters. Let's go after a team and bring them here. Bring them in Oakland. Okay. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.